Hey everybody, it's Josie. Welcome back to Cedar Creek Homestead. I hope you guys are having a wonderful day. It's beautiful here at Cedar Creek. We're above average on our temperatures right now, at least 10 degrees above average, and in some days this week will be even more above. We're pushing the 70s on several days, and it is just beautiful. No rain until I think we have a chance of rain on Sunday. Not a real big washout or anything like that. But then Sunday night and then starting Monday and Tuesday, the temperatures go back down. Not drastically, but probably closer to what our average temperature should be. And it's supposed to go back down in the nighttime temperatures. Our nighttime temperatures right now are staying in the 40s. But they're going to drop back down starting Sunday night into the 30s, 32, 31, so closer to freezing. Probably more average for what we would expect for this time of year for February. And we're trying our best not to get too bad with our spring fever and get in a big hurry. Reminder for all of us. The weatherman did tell us that winter weather will still be around for a while. Between now and the next few weeks to month, we would still experience some of the weather that's typical for our time. And it has gotten us before with a late snow in April, and even in the 1st of May before we have had some nasty weather. So we know if we've lived in this area long enough, and I'm sure that you've lived in your area, that you know how your weather works. Today, a little bit breezy. I was going to go outside and shoot a video, but it's so windy out there that I just decided to have another inside video. So we've been busy here at Cedar Creek preparing and getting ready for gardening season. We do have some things planted. Of course, we've got our garlic in, and we've got some elderberry bushes, some new elderberry bushes. I had 2 in the backyard, still have those. But we did order a bunch of new elderberries, 2 different types, and we've got those in, and they're doing good. And then we've got, we're working on our potatoes, and our onions will be in. We're busy here at the farm working on getting our garden beds ready. The big garden that we were hoping, or at least I was hoping, to get raised beds in it this year. So as I age in place, it would be a much easier for me to grow in those instead of up and down all the time. That's probably not going to happen this year. In fact, I know it's not going to happen this year. We're just going to plant in the garden, in the ground like we normally do for this year. Hopefully next year we'll be able to get raised beds there. And then we've moved some of our bigger crops are going to be back behind our house this year. We've got our garlic is already in. We've got elderberries already in. Now I did have, if you've been with me for a while, you know that I've had 2 elderberries in the backyard, just getting some experience with growing them, and so we decided to add a bigger amount of those on the farm this year. And so we do have 32 elderberry bushes planted, and like I said, we've got the garlic planted out here. We're also going to be planting our potatoes and our onions and our corn out here, and not in the garden that you guys have seen before. That's going to be tomatoes, peppers, okra, squash, that kind of stuff. But the bigger crops are going to be up here. One of the reasons why we wanted to put the corn and those items up here is because the dogs are right here in the backyard, and right beyond the backyard fence is where we'll be planting that. And we thought that might discourage raccoons or something like that might come up and bother the corn or that. We haven't had the wild hogs come up in this pasture. If I have surviving strawberries, we'll be putting those out there somewhere. The strawberries that I did plant already, the wild hogs got in and just destroyed them, done a number on them, and I had them in another pasture. So it became obvious to us that we're going to have to put them up here where all of us can keep a closer eye on them and keep the wild hogs. That they haven't gotten in this pasture that's right up between our house and Howie's parents' house. They haven't been in this pasture, so we're hoping that that continues and that the crops will be safer there. So we have the big crops going out here. Probably we're going to put sunflowers and some other things out there, and we'll be resetting the farm in the years to come with greenhouses and different things. And so we're just kind of getting our first wave of things changed around a little bit. So we've been busy here. Winter sowing project. I'll be showing you the winter sowing. Hopefully this week I'll be showing you the jugs, and we've got some things to put in some more seeds to put in the winter sowing jugs, and I'm still going to plant start seeds here in the house for tomatoes and peppers and tropicals. You can't really winter sow tropicals, or from what I understand, you can't winter sow tropicals, meaning I don't think roselle or anything like that would do good winter sowing. So they need to be in where it's warm and under the grow lights. And so we've got those projects to do, and we're just looking forward to all the things that spring is gonna offer to us. So today I wanted to ask you, have you ever wished that you could see trouble before it happened? If you could see something was getting ready to take place, and you could head it off at the pass. I know that all of us probably wish at one time or another we were able to know something was coming so that we could avert that. Hindsight is 2020. Well, yesterday we had some errands to run. Yesterday was Tuesday, but it actually felt like a Monday for us. And let me tell you why. We started out, we had some errands to run, and so we got all three of the boys. Cheyenne actually had a doctor's appointment with the three boys, and so we needed to go to Tahlequah, and we got the boys in their car seats, got them, and that is a chore, I will tell you. So we got them in, got ourselves in, made sure we got all the things that needed to be done before we left for the day. Meat laid out for supper, and the trash, Tuesday's trash day here, so we had to get all the trashes out and do all of the things that we all have to do. And we were on our way, but we needed to stop and get gas. And so we stopped at the gas station, and we pulled in the local, in our town gas station. We pulled in, and Cheyenne turned off the engine, and she got out, and she put gas in, and when she got back in, she turned it over, and it started, but it would not stay started. And so we thought, oh, great. We're stuck. And Blade was off on a job. He works in construction, and so he was, it wasn't easy for him to get to us. And so thankfully we had some family that was available to come and help us, and they were good. They stayed with us. I had to call a wrecker and local wrecker service, and they were out on the turnpike running a call at that particular time. So we had to wait. They helped us push our vehicle out because we were at the gas pumps, and we didn't want to hinder the business owners from being able to sell gas. And we live in a small town, and so the gas pumps are needed. And so we had to push the truck out of the way. I can only imagine the sight that we were as people drove by. But we got the truck out of the way, and then we waited. It probably took, I would say, a couple of hours for everything to transpire. The truck had to be towed back to my house. We're thanking, the guys have put their heads together, and they believe that it is a fuel pump or the fuel filter. So a relatively easy fix. And so yesterday, just kind of a crazy day. I did manage to go ahead and prepare the supper that we had planned, fried chicken and all the fixings. I was able to do that, but not much other by the time we got home and got the boys calmed down and all the stuff that had to be done. And so I was thinking about how, if you could see ahead of time. Of course, we know that that's not possible to always be able to see the things that are coming. You know, only the Lord knows our future. The Lord knows what's happening, and we have to rely on Him and trust in Him. But He does equip us with a little bit of common sense, right? To think about things that we have to make decisions on, and the things that affect our day-to-day life, and we maybe have a little bit of control over. So that's kind of what I wanted to talk about today. When you're facing a decision, if you had just a few more details, perhaps you would have made a decision and went a different direction with whatever the case may be. Maybe you would have not purchased something and held off for a while. Maybe you would have went ahead and made a purchase. Maybe you would have, you know, we're all the time voting for individuals for, you know, county offices and state offices, and we'll be doing that before long. And we're hearing all of the commercials now, you know, voting for this and for that one. In the fall, we know we have the presidential elections, and we just need to be able to make decisions that are based on information and based on detail and based on things that we know because we've researched it out. Every day we act and react to events that happen, and we problem solve based on the information and the experiences that we've had. There are times that the decisions we make affect us alone, and other times the decisions that we make affect all those around us, family, friends, people that we work with, people that we go to church with. Some of our decision making is small, and some of it can be life-changing. We've all thrown a pebble into a pond or a creek, the lake, some body of water, and we've seen the ripples. And sometimes where it lands, it just makes a few little ripples and doesn't cause much of a wake at all. There's other times when you throw it in and there's wave upon wave upon wave upon wave. Now, depending on the force that we exert and the size of the pebble that we throw into the water, that is what makes the difference between those little tiny ripples and those big old waves that, you know, gets the boat rocking from side to side. Little Tate's over here to the side of me getting his bottle, so if you hear something, that's what it is. Cheyenne's trying to give him his lunch. The boys have had their lunch and they're down for their naps, and I think little Tate's decided that he wants just a little bit more. So if you hear something, it's him and his mama. And all the things that we do, all the decisions that we make on a daily basis, we have to be thoughtful about those decisions. Now, I know there's some things, you know, if you're deciding if you want ketchup or mustard on a sandwich, that's not that big of a deal. But some decisions require a few more processes behind the decision making for us to be effective in our day-to-day life. Now, Howie and I, we used to have a franchise business, and we were required to go to franchise meetings once a year. Usually lasted 3 or 4 days, and they would, you know, put you up in these fancy hotels, and you would have all these meetings, and they would have, the vendors would have displays set up, and you would, you know, spend time talking with them, and you had lectures, and you had all these different things. And this one time we went, and we were sitting, and they had a whole line of different appliances and different things that they were introducing to us, and we were taking notes, and we were listening to their different program ideas. And Howie slipped out to get a drink or whatever, and while he was out, the presenters brought an induction cooktop. They didn't bring it to the front of the room. They had it displayed over on the side, and Howie and I just happened to be sitting beside this display of this induction range, and they had them plugged in. They had them fixed to where they would work just like they were supposed to. And they began to tell how the induction range, when you had it turned on, the cooktop itself would not get hot. Now, just so you don't, don't anybody try this at home. If you have an induction top, you probably know this. The cooktop does not get hot itself. However, if you've had a pot on it and you've cooked with it, there could be some transfer of heat from your pot to the stove. So don't just cook something and then stick your hand on there, because it's going to be hot. But they begin to tell about this induction range and how they wanted to, get it in the U.S. market, and how it was going to change everything. And they asked me, said, the salesperson came and they turned the knob on, turned this induction range on, and they said, young lady, back then I was young, said, touch your hand to the cooktop. And you could tell that it was on. And so I reached over and I thought to myself, well, I can tell if the eye is going to be hot when I get my hand so close. I should be able to feel the heat. And so I did as I was asked, and I was putting my hand down on it. And at about the same time I was doing that, here Howie comes back into the room. And the first thing he thought was, what is she doing? She's going to get burned. And it scared him. And so he was coming over quickly, and one of our franchise officers stopped him, said she's okay, and he was trying to explain to him that what that was. And the reason how he reacted the way that he did to me touching this cooktop was because he had information about a cooktop being hot, a stove being hot, the eye being hot, and he just saw me with my bare hand touch a stove that was on. And we all have been taught from the time we were little children, don't touch that stove, it's hot, don't touch it. And so Howie made a decision upon his knowledge that he had, the information that he had, that I was burned, that I was hurt. And I thought about that and how sometimes we're tempted to make decisions based on our past experience. I'm one of the world's worst. When I have something that I know works, I'm not too eager just to jump in and change it and to do something else, try the newest thing that comes along, because I know that this works and I'm sure of this, and I'm basing my decision on the information that I have for the old thing. And that's exactly what Howie did. Sometimes our decision making is based solely on what we knew in the past, and we need to change our thinking just a little bit. And not everything that comes along new is wonderful and great. It's not. I know that. And there's a whole lot of things that people promise, the new and improved. You see the commercials, you see the news stories, you hear all of the things. And those things that are new and improved are not always new and improved. But there are times that something comes along. Hey, can you imagine a long time ago when ladies had to sweep their carpets and they had to wash their laundry by hand, and they had to, boil it, and they had to rinse it, and they had to hang it on the line, and they had to do all of those things. And when these new things came along that helped them to wash their laundry and to dry their laundry, or to help them to churn butter. Remember, they had the dasher for a long time, where they had to dash the cream with it and make their butter. And then newer things come along with the like the Daisy butter churn and all the different types of churns that have come down all through this time and made life easier. But I guarantee you, people based their initial decisions on what they already knew. And I'm guilty of that. I'm sure that y'all are guilty of that too. But we just need to make sure that sometimes we listen to some of the information that we get and then make an informed decision based on all of the knowledge that we have on that thing, and not just our past knowledge. Now, we need to definitely educate ourselves on the decisions that we make. And that goes for those of us that live on a farm, those of us that live in town, in the city. We have to make educated choices on all of our decisions. Now, right now, we're in a pre-gardening season, and so we're making choices and decisions about the things that we're deciding to plant this year. It doesn't make any sense to plant things that we know we won't eat. Now, one of the things that I'm saying this because we've been talking about this in our family, what we want to put in the garden and what we don't want to put in the garden. Now, we've never grown green peas because I don't like them, and I'm not really sure if the kids are crazy about them or not. I just don't ever, grow them or purchase them. But one thing that I really, really like is any kind of field pea. I love black-eyed peas, purple hull peas, all those kind of peas. And if I'm not careful, I will plant a lot of those because I like them so. But the kids don't like them. Now, the little boys, Howie and Rowdy will eat them. Blade, and Cheyenne doesn't like them at all. So it makes good sense to consider the things that you're going to grow. There are items that we can grow here in the South that people up north can't grow because they don't have a long enough growing season. There's things that you in the north can grow that I can't grow here because it gets too hot and too humid. Oklahoma gets extremely hot and humid in the summertime. And there's things that even though I would love to grow them, food-wise or flower-wise, either one, it just doesn't make good sense economically. It costs for the seeds, it costs for the plants, for my time, for effort, if that plant is not adapted to this area. And so we need to be well informed. The same with animals. I love Highland cows, but I don't know that a Highland cow would do good in Oklahoma. They got too much hair. And and some of you may be here in Oklahoma and say, oh, yes, they can. And that would prove my point that I would make an uninformed decision because I'm going off of my thinking that a Highland cow would not do good here in Oklahoma. So everything that you do, the type of air conditioning and heating that you choose to use, whether you use, central heat or you have wood heat or you have something else, all of those things need to be well-informed decisions that you make for what's going to be best for you and your family. So we know we need to be well-informed. We need to make educated choices. Sometimes, our health, the doctors will give us options and we have to make an educated choice. And the best way to do to do that is to study on that and to make a choice on the information that we receive and that we study up and that we make an educated choice. We have to consider our choices. We have to put them in the balance, so to speak, and we have to think about, what is your options and which option is the better option. Sometimes it's easy to make the decision because it'll be like this. One is going to be a way stronger choice than the other. But what do you do when the balance is like this? And it's kind of an either or. It's just sometimes comes down to which one you really liked better. That either decision would really work. And we know that comes into play. Howie used to get so aggravated at me, and Blade gets aggravated at Cheyenne and I when we decide to go out for a family meal and it's, where do you want to go to eat? And most of the time with us, it's you'll hear the one that asks the question usually hears, I don't care, wherever you want to go. And it's a process. And Blade will say, it looks like y'all would know where you want to go. And so sometimes it's a decision like that, it's not really something that is going to hurt either way. It's just a simple decision. But other times, you say, this is going to affect my family. This is going to affect my job. This is going to affect my finances. This is going to affect my integrity. And you begin to see that as you think about those things, the decision becomes a much more important decision. You're not just picking a paint color, you're picking something that's going to affect well beyond you, but affect your family and your friends as well. Now, we all know that we have big decisions coming up this year, and this is not something to say, pick this side or pick that side. I'm just reminding us all to be informed, to be educated on things, and all through our life, make sure that our decisions are based on the information that we've acquired, the education that we have got about the subject. How many times have you went into the voting booth to vote for county issues or state issues, and not people, I'm talking about the state issues or county issues, where you're making a decision about whether you want to have a new jail built, or you want to have something done at your water treatment facility or something like that. And you go in there and you had no idea that this was even being voted on. And so you need to make sure that you are well informed and well versed in the things that they are going to ask you to help decide. All of us have opportunity to make right decisions for ourselves and help make decisions that fits all of us better. As we're getting close to our next season, and we'll all be thinking about our gardens and all of the projects that are coming up, we've got some decisions to make. And so the best thing for us to do is educate ourselves. Get in there and decide what's the best thing for you and your family. There's lots of people that'll tell you this is best or that's best, but you need to decide for you and your family. Gather your spouse, your children, grandchildren, whatever, and make an informed decision as a family what's best for you. Decide which way is the best for you to go. Is it better for you to remain where you're at? Is it going to work better if you decide to move to the country, or buy a farm or buy a few acres and grow some items? Maybe you want to put in a garden and an orchard. Maybe you want to have animals. Maybe you don't want to have animals. And maybe you want to decide about if you want to have just little animals like chickens and rabbits, or do you want to go bigger with bigger livestock, from sheep to pigs to cows. Those are some big decisions, big responsibilities, and you need to think it through. If you've been with me long enough, you know that there's been a decision or two that I have regretted. One of the biggest ones that I have regretted since Howie's passing, that I've made a decision to bring to the farm, that I quickly chose to change my mind on, was goats. Goats do not go here on Cedar Creek. I've had goats in the past when we lived in Arkansas, and I loved them. We didn't have any trouble with them, but this particular time it did not work well, and so I have decided I didn't want goats. And then here a couple months ago, we had that wild, crazy goat that come visiting for whatever reason, and he broke my front door. He was a mean old nasty goat. And then Cheyenne said she didn't want any goats either. So Cedar Creek will not be having any goats, and we have made an informed and educated decision on that. And we all agree no goats. Now we might consider sheep, but no goats for us. Not talking bad about goats. I think they're so cute, and I will love them from a distance. So anyway, I hope I gave you guys something to think about today, that you will take time to make informed and educated decisions about all of the different things that you have coming. Know that there's some things that really you don't have to put a lot of stock in. It's just an easy decision, but not every decision that you have is easy. Not every decision that you make should be spur of the moment. Jump in with both feet. It should be thought out and researched. Now, you can overdo that. Sometimes, you drag your feet and don't make any decisions. And I find that if I have too many choices, on occasion that I get to pick something to watch on television, which is not very often. But if I get to pick what movie is watched or something, I have a hard time because there's too many choices. And so I find myself flipping through the list of options that you can watch without making a decision on watching one. And we know that that can be a bad thing too. It can cripple us, not with television, but it can cripple us in our day-to-day life if we can't make any decisions. So there has to be a happy medium. There has to be a balance of being able to make good, informed, well thought out, educated decisions, and no decision making at all. I hope I've helped you guys just a little bit. I hope that I made you smile a little bit with just spending a little time here with us. And until next time, guys, this is Josie. I love you guys. I really do. Keep looking well to the ways of your household. And until next time, we're gone.